Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. God, it's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK and 10 o'clock at night in Manila. I hope some of you, my dear Filipino friends, are still up and joining us live. So, welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. Hope you're all if you're in the UK or maybe it's still early Sunday morning, like in other parts of the world, hope you're all having a nice, relaxing day. This week, I'm really excited about this week's guest because I got to meet him at a Mickhead gig last year in Edinburgh. And as as most of you know, I'm a big fan of McCann. So anyone got connection with McCann and everything. I'm really interested about them and talking about McCann as well. So anyways, yeah, that's where I got to meet them. I haven't seen them play live, but hopefully this year or someday soon I will get to see them play. So yeah, my dear friends, please welcome Garry Craig. Yay!
Hooray! Garry, Garry,
AKA
Garry, Garry.
AKA Darth Whirlpool. So
Yeah.
what's that?
That's because of some of our professions in Kenwood and Mixers, we don't want people to know our real names, so we have stage names.
Right, okay.
And there is a boring story to Darth Whirlpool if you want to know it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit of a computer geek, and back in the day, we used to go online, but we used to have to cool our computers with massive fans. And it used to be really, really noisy.
Yeah.
So somebody said I sounded like Darth Vader, and somebody said I sounded like a washing machine. So a whirlpool is a type of washing machine, and so it became Darth Whirlpool. It was my gaming name.
Oh.
And the band said, "Oh, we'll have to have a funny name for you, so people don't see your real name." And so I just went with Darth Whirlpool.
Well, I actually Googled Garry Craig, and there is a Garry Craig drummer, a Canadian drummer,
Oh wow!
but with the R, just one R and not
Yeah,
two. And I was all
yeah.
like thinking, no, that's not him. That's not.
Well, interestingly, I'm from a place called South Shields, which is near Newcastle, and there's another Garry Craig from South Shields with one R,
Yeah.
and he has the world record for putting on underpants. So he can put on 150 pairs of underpants in a minute. So I suggest your listeners or viewers actually Google Garry Craig
Under,
underpants champion.
underpants champion. Oh my god. Well, how are you, anyways? How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I had a bit of a problem because about a month ago I had a where I thought was a trapped nerve in my back, which turned out to be a trapped nerve in my shoulder, a crushed nerve. And as we've had chats, I was playing a weekend of drumming last weekend, and I've had to put a back brace on, and it's really painful.
Oh god. So did you get it from playing the drums, or how did
I don't,
how did you get it?
I don't know, because usually with back problems, you wake up in the morning and you can't breathe. It's all of a sudden, but this is like a gradual process where I just felt the twinge and didn't feel very well, and then it got to the point that I couldn't actually move my left arm, and I'm left-handed, so when I'm playing drums, obviously that's my primary, that's my hi hat and cymbals, and half the tom's gone. So
Yeah. Oh God. Well, how are you feeling now? Is it better or is it still painful?
yeah, it's better. I live in Southampton, and I follow Southampton Football Club, and I live about 2 miles away from the ground. So yesterday I walked to the football match without a back brace on, and then by the time I got home in the evening, I couldn't move again. I had to lie down
Oh
in bed. So
no. Oh dear. I hope you feel better soon because it's a bit
thank you.
sort of like you know it's difficult playing drums because with drums you've got to be really energetic and you've got
Mm,
so like
mm.
not like healthy and
Yeah.
strong to be able to like do all those drumming things. But anyways, I've got to ask you: are you a fan of Mickhead, or did you get dragged along by Keith?
Well, no, no. So well, my love affair with McHead is slightly one of these things that's happened over time. So when I was a kid, I used to listen to a lot of indie music on the Peel sessions and things like that. And I was a big fan of the Pale Fountains.
Yes, yes, so am
So so
I. Yeah.
so I bought Pacific Street when it first came out,
Yeah, yeah.
and then because living up north at the time in South Shields and not having very much money, I didn't sort of I didn't follow him after that, and then it was probably about 10 years ago. Somebody said, "Oh, I mentioned the Pale Fountains," and they went, "Oh, that's Mick Head." I went, "Oh, yeah, probably. I can't really remember the name of the bands." And they said, um, "Oh, he reformed into a band called Shack."
Mike. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then what happened is that I think around about that time I bought a CD of HMS Fable.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, and then what happened was Keith and I, the bass player who you know, play for a band who do the Edinburgh Fringe. We put on a theatrical show, and Keith said, "Oh, Mick Head's playing a proper gig during the Fringe. Do you want to go?" And I went, "Is the Pope Catholic?" "Of
Yeah.
course I do,"
Yeah.
because I've never seen him play live, and honestly, I was gobsmacked. It was absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, of course. I think we'll have sort of like the same experience because I am a big fan of the Pale Mountains, but I never really got to hear of Shaq until I saw him for the first time in 2016 because he played mainly Shaq songs, and I was
Yeah,
like, I was expecting more for him to sort of like do all the Pale Fountain songs that I know, and he never played any single one of them. So I
yes,
was like,
yes,
yeah, so I was like, is this really him? So, like, how come I
yeah,
don't know any of the songs that he played? But yeah, it's the same experience. And it's funny because that place, Summerhall in
yes.
Edinburgh, that was the second time I went to see him play there live. The first time I was actually introduced again to a drummer, but this but, but a friend of mine saw like just played a trick on me. He said that, oh, this is so and he's a drummer of the Soup Dragons. I was like, I'm not sure. Are you sure? I mean, at the time I didn't know what like Paul Quinn or Ross Sinclair looked like, the drummers of the Soup Dragons. So I was sort of like thinking, is this really him or something? But
Yeah, yeah,
it turned out it was just it was just a trick. It wasn't really him. And
yeah,
I was all like saying, if I don't see them play on stage, then I'm not going to I'm not going to ask for a photograph with them. Which now
yeah,
I realize I should have asked you for a photograph when I saw you last year. And
yeah.
Keith,
Well, we used to have this thing when we were kids, when we were about 18, 19.
yeah,
And what we do is we'd go into a pub and we'd sort of settle, and some of the lads would go out and they'd come in, and it was like a way of trying to get girls. They'd come in, they go, "God, it's Garry Craig! It's Garry Craig! He's the drummer out of," and everybody be staring at them and want to know who you were. And of course, I've never been famous in my life, but it was like really funny. It used to I mean, I wouldn't have the bottle to do that nowadays, but at the time it was great crack when you were a kid. Because all these people would come over and go, "Yeah, yeah, I'm the drummer of Echo and the Bunnymen," It's like,
well, I suppose I should have known that Keith wouldn't play a trick on me. That when he introduced me to you, so like and say that when he said that you're the drummer of his band, because I should have known. I should have said, "Oh, right, okay, can I have a photograph?" Because I do like having photos with drummers, as you know, you've seen it on my
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
face.
because I said to Keith, "Oh, Anne said she wants to put, interview me on her sort of YouTube magazine about drummers." I said, but I'm not a famous drummer. I'm just a drummer. And you said, no, she's fanatical. She really likes drummers. So.
I really do. Yeah. But anyway, so Aiden said sound and vision a-okay, and Aiden is my tech support, so that's very good when he says that. So welcome to Ask the Drummer. Episode 113 is all about you, Gary Craig, aka
So,
yeah, Darth Wilpole. So, um, so first of all, can you just sort of like ask about your background? So like, where were you born?
yeah,
And
sure. So I was born in South Shields, which is a northern town on the mouth of the River Tyne. It's where most people from the south think Newcastle is, because
yeah,
it looks like that's where Newcastle is on the map, on the weather map. But Newcastle's actually inland by 10 miles.
oh,
And
okay.
it used to be a sort of many years ago. It was a fishing town, but when I grew up, it was pits and ship repair.
Oh,
But
okay.
all the pits and ship repair yards are closed now. So
Yeah. So is it how near or how far are you from Gateshead? Like, because I know that Newcastle and Gateshead, they're very close to each other. You could actually walk from
yeah,
Newcastle to
yeah.
Gateshead.
We're on the Gateside side of the river, so we're on the south side. So Newcastle's on the north of the River Tyne, and Gateshead's across the bridge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's about 10 miles, 9 miles from Gateshead.
And any famous like musicians from South Shields?
Oh God, there is, but the only person I can never remember who's really famous from South Shields off the top of my head is Frank Williams, who used to be the F1 Williams director. So
Oh,
if any of the viewers know Formula One, Frank Williams was born in South
oh,
Shields.
yeah.
I'm sure I can't Google at the same time as talking because I would, but
No, 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 that's fine. But so what was it like? As a so like I say when you're a teenager, especially the music scene in South Shields, or is there like a music scene around there, or did you go to Newcastle
no,
for
no,
your like?
no, there was a big music scene on the Tyne. So there's a string of towns that lead up to Gateshead and then cross over into Newcastle, so sort of Jarrow and Hebburn and stuff. And most local pubs put on bands.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when I was playing in bands around about that time, sort of early 80s, it was when there was the emergence of indie bands were coming out on the scene.
yeah,
I'm mostly, I mean, that's my real love of music is with indie music. Um, but there used to be this big competition, and it was like there was like the musicians union, and they had registered bands, but most of the bands that they had did covers, and I belonged to a real band who did their own music, and there was always this challenge between
oh,
the bands playing their own material and the guys who did covers. And
yeah.
the other big scene at the time as well was the working man's club scene.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
And that was also big for comedy in those days as well. So we used to try and get working man's club gigs because they paid a lot of money. They actually paid their turns, as they called them. But
yeah,
but
yeah.
we used to get things thrown at us because we weren't playing Beatles covers and stuff. We were doing our
Oh,
own
is it?
stuff. They said,
Okay.
"You shite, get off, you
Yeah,
crap."
yeah.
And in those days, the workman's club, they used to have strippers on, so you'd be on before the strippers,
Oh,
and all, all,
okay.
all, all the blokes would be shouting, get off, get the strippers on."
Oh, God. Yeah, I just get reminded. It's Robson and Jerome. They're from around there, right?
Yeah.
From
Ant and
South
Deck,
Shields.
not from Shields, no. Ant and Deck are from my area, the
Oh,
neck of the
right,
woods as
Anton
well.
Dag, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, oh, this is a real dull story, really. But Ant and Deck come from a show called Biker Grove, which is about a youth club.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the youth club was set in a small mansion house in Biker. And but it used to be a pub, and I played a gig in there many years ago. And
Oh well.
the big house had a chapel in it, and you played the gig in the chapel of the pub. It was an amazing place, but it was such a big place it probably wasn't sustainable as a pub, and that's why it closed. So
Oh wow. Well, see, there's like Ant and Deck. They're very famous, and Robson and Jerome, of course.
yeah.
But are you from a musical family?
No, not at all. My grandmother on my dad's side, my nana Craig, she used to sing in working men's clubs and play piano. And
Yeah.
apparently her husband, he was called Stanley, but he died when my dad was 14, so a long, long time ago. He used to be a cabaret act.
Oh, okay.
So there's a
Yeah,
few pictures of my granddad who I never met in a top hat and a cane doing sort of Fred Astaire stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, none of my family are. My brother's massive, never played in bands, but is massively into electronic music. He's got his massive studio, but never played in bands. Uh,
yeah. It's sometimes it's just strange because Gary is like a first name and Craig is a first name as well. So
yeah,
it's sort
yeah, but,
of like, do you ever sort of like people get you confused calling you Craig Gary or something
yeah.
like
No,
so?
no, no, no. People call me Craig all the time. It's not uncommon.
Oh, okay. But what got you into drumming though? Did you learn how to play other musical instruments before sort of like getting into drums?
So I started playing drums because I played drums in the Boys Brigade.
Oh, is it like a Boy Scout kind of
Yes,
thing?
like yeah.
Yeah, Boy Scout. Yeah, yeah.
Although rather competitively, Boys Brigaders will tell you that the Boys Brigade was there before the Scouts. But yes. So I played a side drum, a snare drum in the Boys Brigade, and then one of my sorry, this is the compliment. I was playing keyboards before that, but not very successfully. And a mate of mine called Richard was starting a punk band, and he said, "You've got a drum, haven't you?" I said, "Well, I've got a snare drum." So basically, I had a snare drum, and we used to use. Do you know instant mashed potatoes called Smash? Can you remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think you can still get them now. I think it was,
uh,
it's
I
gone
don't
now.
know. I don't know, but Richard's dad owned a cafe, and he had these catering packs of Smash that used to seal with a plastic top, and he had Nescafe coffee, which used to seal with a top with a plastic top. So I had a snare drum and two toms made out of these cans, and then I had some sort of really really old cymbal, which I can't remember the brand, and I used to use that as a hi hat. It was bloody awful. It was great.
But it's punk. It's punk, isn't it?
It was
I mean, that's
wonderful.
why
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like DIY.
Yeah, we never gigged in that outfit. I mean, I can't remember. We were still at school then. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So that's your first band then. It was all like the first
well,
time you had.
I played keyboards in a band that did Beatles covers, and I
Oh,
did
nice.
2 gigs in 1977 because it was the Queen's Silver Jubilee, and we did 2 street parties.
Oh, wow.
So that
Wow.
that, that was my that was they were my first gigs at a street party.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Well, you're talking about sort of like Boy Scouts or Boys Brigade, and you having a snare drum. Because I was when I was in primary school, I was a member of Girl Scouts, and I also had a snare drum, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
around my neck,
yeah, yeah.
and and it's like I've always wanted to be a drummer, but that wasn't cool. No,
Mm.
it's not cool to have your sort of like a drum round your neck and then you're going.
Yeah, yeah. I,
So,
it is interesting though, because when you don't think about it at the time, you sort of reflect on it later. But I mean, I was actually quite proud of it because I was good at it.
Yeah. Oh.
So I was actually the lead. I was actually the lead drummer. I was the one in charge of the rest of the lads.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, that's
So
really.
yeah, so I used to do all the. So when you're that person, you do all the solos, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
and you teach all the young lads when they're coming through, but the paradiddles and all the rudiments and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I don't actually remember any of those paradiddles and stuff because I mean, I think I just saw like band on.
Yeah.
It's like when you're a little kid, you just go.
Well, see what's interesting is when I was a kid, I was really, really technically gifted. Now I just hit them. It's gone in reverse for me.
Yeah. Well, Aiden said that Smash is going strong, made by
Excellent.
banjos. He
Thank you,
said it
Aidan.
was like, I think I remember. I think I remember. So, like the last time I bought some of those, I sent them over to my family in the Philippines, and they loved it. It's like,
Really?
yeah, instant mashed potato.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like
So
it, you can always use it as wallpaper paste.
no way.
Yeah, if you
Really?
make it really thin, it'll go on like glue. I'm telling you.
But anyway, so after this, so you played. It was during this Silver Jubilee, you said. So that was your first gig, and then you had a punk band.
Yeah.
Did it last long, or it didn't last very long, did it? Or
Well, they sort of did, but they sort of merged between different bands, so the personnel sort of changed.
okay, yeah, yeah,
Um, and I mean, I've never been a member of a famous band, so there's no kind of linkage for the audience. But I was then in a band with a friend of mine called Graham, and we were in bands from about the age of 11 till I was about 22. And the only famous linkage is we supported the Men That Couldn't Hang in a gig in Newcastle.
oh wow.
And there's
And
actually
how old were you then? It was like
oh, I would have,
teenager or teenager?
oh no, I would have been in my early 20s.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I would
yeah,
have been because and the I think it was the guy who was singing in the band. So I'd gone away at the Polytech, which was, I don't know if you know the system, but we had polys and universities. I went away to Poly to do a degree, and I was still playing with Graham, but just going back. And he said, I'm putting a band together because I've got a gig at Newcastle. I can't remember the big venue there, not Newcastle City Hall, but there was another big venue, which was a big shed. And he said,
yeah.
we've got a band that was supporting the Men That Couldn't Hang, of course, who, people had heard of. But I think the singer there was, I think the singer of the band at that time was the bass player of the Toy Dolls. So the
Whoa.
Toy Dolls are massive in Japan, aren't they? But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Huh?
the guy who played bass for that band, I was playing drums for. I only played one gig with that lineup, but that was quite a big gig. I remember being really, really nervous because even when I played little gigs when I was a kid, they used to have to come and fish me out the toilet because I get so nervous. I wanted to wee all the
Oh,
time. They literally had to come and drag me on stage. And the other thing I remember was, the other thing I remember was that the Men Who Couldn't Hang were quite a massive band then, and they had a huge rider in their dressing room, all these sandwiches and cakes and shit like that. And their drummer didn't have a drum stool; it was broke. He had to borrow mine.
oh. I mean, they're still playing.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
I think they supported Ian Prowse recently or something. But yeah, I saw, or maybe they had their own gig or something. But I'm sure last year, I saw an advert or an announcement saying that the Men They Couldn't Hang are playing somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Could have
yeah.
before.
Uh, we've got some close friends that we were postgrads with in Southampton, which is how I ended up in Southampton. And
Yeah,
Emily M, she's a big fan of them. And I was telling her this anecdote many, many years ago how we'd support them. God,
yeah.
I think it was called the Riverside, the gig, the place, but I can't remember. It was such a long time ago, but no, happy days, happy
Yeah.
days.
Do you get starstruck though? Do you saw like with Mick Head when you saw Mick Head for the first time in Edinburgh last year? Do you get like, oh my god, like me?
I,
It was like, oh my god.
well, I don't know. Do you know? I don't get starstruck in that kind of way. I get kind of. It's not starstruck. Starstruck's more about the actual personality.
Yeah,
What I was impressed by was by how well he played and how well the songs, which I'd heard on albums, actually came across live,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and the band. And what really fascinated me is his bass guitarist looks like somebody I work with, which I found really weird. It was
oh
like,
Tom
he looks like
Powell.
Graham, he looks like Graham. But no, that's the kind of thing. I mean, I've had lots of bumps into famous people over the years. My favorite story was about the Clash. So the Clash in the, I think it was the late 80s, did what was
Yeah,
called a busking tour. Um,
okay, yeah,
and they
yeah,
basically turned up at places and just bust, literally like that. And my mate Tim, he was an artist and he was at art school in Sunderland, and we went round to their Union Bar, and the Clash turned up, and they were playing, and they said, "Oh, anybody who's a member of the Bunker Club, which was a rehearsal place in Sunderland, we're going to be playing afterwards in the Bunker Club." And I said to Tim, I said, "I'm a member of the Bunker Club," and he said, used an F word, and off. And he said, "You're not?" And yeah, I went, "Yeah, I am." And we went round to the Bunker Club, and there was 14 of us in the audience.
only
Absolutely,
40.
absolutely incredible. Yeah, because you had to. So most of the guys who rehearsed at the Bunker Club were like me. They were sort of, because I was a shipyard worker or wherever I'd been, and
Yeah,
very few of them had been at that student union, because it was a student union regarded as somewhere where posh people went, and it was an art student union as well. But yeah, so we went down to the Bunker Club, and it was literally. But the trouble is, it was pre mobile phones. It was pre, people didn't carry cameras
yeah,
with them, so I've got no
yeah.
evidence of this other than my mate Tim, who I went with, can vouch that I was at that gig.
Yeah, yeah, it's so like I remember so like talking to my husband the other day about it because he went to quite a lot of gigs when he was so like young, and because people didn't really have cameras
Yeah,
because I think you're not even allowed to bring your like cameras in those days, so it just couldn't be bothered to sort of like have a camera or something that
yeah. Well,
you don't have photos and
well,
you
I think it is. I don't know if it's literally this, that people just used to live in the moment. You did, you
yeah.
did, you did. People had cameras, but you didn't take them to the gigs because you were too busy enjoying the gig.
Well,
Why would you need a picture? I mean, now, I've got loads of pictures of Mick Head in Edinburgh because that's what we do these days, don't we? But you know what I mean? In those days, you used to go and just enjoy the gigs, didn't you?
yeah, yeah. I always saw like see on Facebook you see people having arguments about so like because as you know I do take videos and photos as well, but I also enjoy it. I also live the the moment. I enjoy it because sometimes you'll see my videos so like going down, down, down because I don't just look in the camera. I actually so like make sure I position it and then I enjoy the gig. I watch them so like live,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah, but I think it is so like like other people debating all the time whether you just leave your mobile phone, don't use your mobile phone. But you know, I do like it because I like um photos and I like having memories
yeah.
and like what I said to my husband, oh, it's a shame that you couldn't show it to me. You couldn't like show me photos of when you saw David Bowie or when you saw Buzzcocks. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even better.
I've not seen very many gigs, partly because this I didn't have a lot of money when I was younger, but I did see. I saw David Bowie on his Glass Spider tour when he played Roker Park. That was a superb
Yeah.
gig. Got no pictures of that. I've seen Joy Division. Sorry, I didn't see Joy Division. I saw New Order when they were first formed. Saw them a couple of times in Newcastle. Got no record of that. It's like,
Yeah, it's also so like for posterity, isn't it? It's like I know it's sometimes it's in there in your head, in your memory, and it should be good enough. But sometimes because the memory goes, because it's like like what I do sometimes, I make notes so that in case my memory goes, I can tell
mm,
that this, so, like with the records. Oh, I got this record signed. I
mm,
queued up things. Or sometimes I buy records and it's already been signed.
yeah,
So I make a note of that as well, because just in case my memory goes, I said, "Oh, did I see them?" Or they were all like, "Did I get them?" So But anyway, so you've been playing drums for a long time. Was it
yes.
sort of like a continuous, so like you had bands after bands after bands, or did you sort of like
Yeah. So,
stop?
well, I went to Teesside Poly to do my first degree, which is about an hour drive away from South Shields. It's near Middlesbrough, is the main town. Obviously, for Teesside Poly's in Middlesbrough, and I was still playing gigs with bands. I was in a band called the Pink Windmill Show, which was basically me and a guitarist who used to program synths. So we had synths and loops, and I had a big
Yeah,
drum kit. It was quite unusual then, because we used to use sound samples as well, which is very much what public information do now. The band, but it was, but it never really worked quite that well in live, because all the gear was so, it was so new and
yeah,
very difficult to use. And then I sold all my gear, because I didn't have a car when I was at college, and I came down to do a post grad here in Southampton. And then again, it's not an interesting anecdote, but there was a time in the 90s where all the building societies converted to banks and everybody got shares.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I said to my then wife, "Do you know what? I'd really, really like to buy a drum kit again. I hadn't been playing for only about 2 years." And I said, "What I'll do is I'll buy it. I'll buy it with my money I'm getting off the shares from my building society converted to a bank." And what I'll do is, because she was saying, I'm not very happy about the idea of the noise. I said, "Well, I'll buy an electronic kit, because they're a lot better than they used to be." Because I had a part of an electronic kit as part of my drum kit before I sold it. So I bought an electronic drum kit, and that was the first proper electronic drum kit I had. And I've never played acoustic kits since. So.
And do you still play electronic drum kit
Yeah,
or
I mean, I don't know if you've used the picture, but the picture I've sent of you of me sat in black and white behind a drum kit is an electronic drum kit. Yeah, it's an ATV drum kit, so it looks like acoustic shells.
yeah, yeah. It does
And
look like sort of like a proper drum kit, but
don't
it's
say proper
electronic.
drum kit, because
Oh,
let's
sorry.
talk for proper drum kits as well. You're sounding
Oh,
you're sounding like a guitarist now.
sorry. So it's acoustic drum kit and electronic drum kit.
It's an electronic drum kit and an acoustic drum kit, not a proper drum kit and a pretend
No,
one.
sorry. Because it's all like because sometimes like my daughter had an electronic so like drum kit, but you don't actually hear it yourself when she's playing because she's got
Yeah,
the
yeah,
headphones
yeah,
on.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So,
yeah.
so with acoustic, even I think even with a headphone, if you hit it, it was all like it will be heard.
Yeah, no, so the modern kits are mesh heads, so they feel like you're hitting into a proper rubber head, into a beater head. And from the point of view of the listener, if it's not put into the PA, it just sounds like this. It sounds like a tap. It's very quiet.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's ideal for playing indoors. The reason why I like them is they're really very versatile. So you don't get the problem if you're in a very small gig,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people saying, "Oh, you need to play quieter," because it's actually really difficult to change I find it very difficult to change my dynamics for different venues. And if you play in a big venue and there's like 4,000 people, which I've played to before, you can't hit it. So 4,000 people, you mic it up, don't you? Whereas with electronic kits, you just plug it in. And the other thing is, I've got two electronic kits. I've got the big one that you've got a picture of me behind, and then I've got a tiny little one which is it folds up into a little case. And
Oh, wow.
I use that when I'm playing big festivals and I have to get on and off stage very quickly because I can just pick it up. The sound engineer just plugs DIs it into the PA and I'm off. Because the problem I've got is I'm left-handed, so I can't use the um, kit on stage because it's the wrong way around for me. Because most people are
Oh,
right-handed
I see.
drummers.
So you can't. So say you're in like a gig. You're doing a gig, and there are like three or four bands playing that night. So you always carry your own. You always carry your own drum kit, or you can't play the ones that's provided there on.
I can't play the ones that are provided, and to be fair, we rarely play gigs with other bands.
Oh right,
We
okay,
the only time we do is if we play festivals,
yeah, yeah.
and then you I have to take my kit with me because I'm left-handed,
Ah, I
so
see.
I can't use theirs because it's the wrong way around for me.
Ah, so you've never played so like a kit that's on the stage, or so like say, okay, we'll do a gig, and then you don't have to bring anything. There's already
Well,
like all the things, like all the instruments there for you and stuff. But you can't play it because
it's the
most of
wrong
the
way around.
time,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when you play a festival anywhere, or even little gigs with three bands in or something, but I've never done that since I was a kid. You have to bring your own breakables anywhere. So you have to bring your own the breakables or the cymbals and your snare drum.
yeah,
So what I get is when we play a big festival, is I get an email sent to me saying, uh, um, "Can we have your stage plot?" So we send you send a diagram of your stage plot, which is where everybody stands and what
yeah,
instruments you need.
yeah,
And
yeah.
remember the drummer needs to bring his breakables. And what I do is I send them an email back saying, "Oh, I won't bring breakables. I'll bring my own kit because I'm left-handed." But it's a small electronic kit, and all you need to worry about is one cable for the DI. And the sound engineers love it; they think it's great
Oh
because
wow,
it's just one cable. Fit in.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't give them very much control over the kit, but they're not really bothered because when we play, we're one of the rubbish bands on during the day. So
Oh.
we're effectively one of the warmer bands for the bigger bands to build on, aren't we? So
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your band, which is Ken Wood and the Mixes.
yeah,
Before we came on stage, before we came on like the show, going on live, you said that Ken Wood is actually a real person. He's the lead singer of Ken Wood and the Mixes. Because when I heard about Ken Wood, isn't there um like a sound system? Because I remember when I was like a teenager, we had a sound system called Kenwood.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't turn my camera around very easily, but I've got a fridge called Kenwood as well.
Oh my.
But Kenwood are more famous for appliances, mixers.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
appliances. Yeah, yeah.
they were the sort of, I think they were the first really successful manufacturer of food processors.
Oh, I
But
see.
Kenwood and Mixers have been gone since 1977. And they did actually contact Kenwood, the brand, and spoke to one of their executive directors and got permission to use the name.
Oh really? But
Yes, yes.
Kenwood is Kenwood is the person, right?
Well, no,
The name of your singer.
no, Kenwood's not actually called Kenwood, but because everybody knows him as Ken. Everybody calls him Ken Wood, but his real name's Tony Berry.
Oh,
So even we call him Ken. Even the people even the people in the band who played since 1977, they
yeah.
still call him Ken because he is Ken Wood.
And so it's Kenwood and the
Yeah,
Mixers.
it's a bit like the joke. I don't know if you know. There's a Pink Floyd song, and what one of the lines in the song says, "And which one of you is called Pink?" And it's because whenever you had a band and it had somebody's name as part of it, like I'm sure when Echo and the Bunnymen have turned up at gigs, people have said to the band, "Or who's called Echo?" Because I presume that Echo's a person, and it was the same
Yeah.
for Ken Wood and the Mixers. People just presumed that the singer must be Ken Wood, so everybody just
Oh,
called him Ken Wood. But he's not actually called Ken Wood, no.
right. And did Kenwood actually give you permission to sort of like use that name? It was like,
Yeah, no, they did check many years ago. I think it was probably in the 80s, because there was a time, and it happens periodically, where big names go after people.
yeah, yeah, of
So
course, yeah.
like there's a pub called the Hobbit in Southampton. It's been called the Hobbit for donkey's years, and about 10 years ago, the Tolkien estate went after them,
Oh,
said
right.
you can't use our name, and they were going, well, we've used this name for 30 odd years, 40 years, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I thought there's something like when I heard when I saw that it's Kenwood, it reminded me of our sound system in those days.
Yes,
Yeah. So, Kenwood and the Mixes. I've sort of like watched a few of your videos on YouTube. Do
you're
you
very brave.
do now? Do you actually do original materials, or do you do a lot of cover
Yeah,
versions?
it's mostly soul and Motown covers, but we do some originals. But that's not what that wasn't where the band came from. The original music. It was basically playing student unions and doing like just soul stuff, because it had become kind of northern soul. It had a kind of resurgence in the late 70s or 80s. I believe that to be the case. And they used to when they were younger, long before I joined the band, they used to tour Europe all the time.
All right.
Um, and
Oh,
and it was a bit like a couple of my friends in the 90s toured Europe in a punk band, and soul and stuff. And that time,
yeah.
it had a big following in Germany and France and places like that. So, similarly to if you were playing punk in the 80s and you went over to Germany and particularly France as well, they used to go mad for you.
Yeah, yeah. So when did you join Kenwood in the Mixes?
I think, and I've been trying to work it out because we were trying to work out how long I've been in the band. I think it's about 15, 16 years.
Oh, I see. And what was the band that you were in before joining Kenwood?
I, I'd been in a band doing covers, doing Robbie Williams covers and things like that, which
All
which
right.
which I, which I, which I absolutely hated. I really hated it. Well, you see, because even then I was a 45-year-old man who wanted to play in indie bands, but like you couldn't get a gig with indie bands because what tends to happen with musicians, they play until the point that they realize they're not going to be famous, and then they give up. So it's like really difficult to find indie people who are into indie music who are my age. Although my good friend Keith, who plays bass, is in an indie band now. There are people around there, and that was the
Yeah.
only gig. That was the only gig I could get. And then the sax player in our band, Steve, I sort of working in an NHS team, and he was one of the doctors, and I turned up and just happened to mention I play drums, and he said, "Oh, do you want to come and audition for our band?" I said, oh, I'm not sure. Let me hear what you do. And he gave me a tape of originals, and they were
Yeah.
because the Kenwood do have quite a lot of originals, but we just tend not to play a lot of them. And I really enjoyed it. And then hopefully you picked it up from the videos. It's quite manic on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
Ken
There's
just
quite
goes
a lot of
absolutely.
you. There's quite a lot of you on stage as well.
Well, there's 8 of us. We've got a full brass section, which is quite
Yeah.
unusual. And they just go wild running around, and it's just so. But from a drummer's point of view, it's like herding sheep, trying to keep them all together. Because I'm there trying to play, and one of them's gone off, and one of the guitarists decided he's going to play a completely different song. It's like.
It sounds like real fun when you're sort of like playing on stage.
Yeah, but the other thing they do as well, which is really, really annoying, and I'll be interested if any drummers tune in and have got this, they keep tripping over the drum kit because they run around stage so much, they keep falling over the drum kit, and the drum kit gets moved to one side, and I've got to try and follow it. It's like a cartoon.
Well, you did last year. You did Edinburgh Festival Fringe.
Yes.
Is it like an annual thing? Because you are playing again this year, aren't you?
Yeah, so we've apart from the couple of pandemic years, I think we've now played it 5 times,
Oh
and
wow!
because well, I think part of the Edinburgh Fringe was originally a music festival. And it's called something slightly different now, but it's mostly theatrical and comedy now. So what we do is we do a show about the roots of soul music.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
So
yeah,
so so
yeah,
so the first show we did was about the transition from slave music up to modern soul. So we took sort of a slice of sort of each decade until we got there, and
yeah,
then the new show, we look at the different regions of America and the different music that came out of different areas. And
yeah,
because obviously America's such a big country, and they didn't have YouTube and WhatsApp or the technology we're talking on now, it was a bit like accents. The music was very, very compartmentalized, if that's the right word. I can never say it. So we visit that,
Oh, I see.
and it makes quite a lot an interesting story in itself. And then there's sort of gags and anecdotes that go with this, because a lot of the people who played music in the 40s and 50s were characters, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah. So
You had all
you,
these. Sorry.
yeah, so you do all that as part of Ken within the mixes, or is it in collaboration? You do the music and in collaboration with uh, whoever is doing the storytelling, or is
No,
it just part? Is
no,
it
it's
just part of your band? Yeah.
yeah, we do the storytelling when we did. So our guitarist wife, she's called Helen Wood, and she's quite a famous comedian, and
Oh,
she's got her own agency, who put on shows and things, and we got a lot of advice from her, which was great because it was free advice. And we also went to see. I didn't go because I didn't write any material. We also went to see somebody else who was like a coach of comedians, and he sort of said, "Okay, show me your script, and this thing works, and this thing works. Can you try doing that?"
yeah,
And or what you tend to do, and I think this might happen for real comedians, is you write the show and then it becomes slightly organic.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah,
the main framework stays the same, but some of the gags change because some of them don't quite work and some of them do work.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so 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 the classic, and I don't know why this is funny, but we talk about blind musicians because there's quite a lot of blind musicians, who are quite famous stars, people like Stevie Wonder. And then
Yeah.
at the end, to finish the segment, Steve's one of the saxophonists says, "None of us in the band are technically disabled, but Garry, our drummer, comes from South Shields," and everybody laughs. And it's like, what? Why is that funny? It just apparently it is really funny.
Because all right, okay. No, it was all like I shouldn't really laugh because it's like I'm sure I've been to South Shields. I think
And you
yeah.
survived. You survived. It's not a bad place.
Because when we used to sort of like do like, especially in my first, second year here in the UK, we used to travel a lot up and down the
Hmm.
country. And I'm sure I'm trying to remember what it is about South Shields. Is it a Vidison Pet or something? Is that from
So,
South Shields? The
sorry.
the show of Vidison Pet? It was like a TV show where I don't know whether
Well,
it's from South Shields, but
Alvid is in Pets set in Germany.
but the characters there was all
Yeah,
like
so
are they
yeah, so some of
from
them, Jimmy Nail.
Are they from South Shields? Jimmy Nail, that's the. Is he from South Shields, Jimmy
He's
Nail?
he's not he's not, but he worked in the same shipyard as I worked in, but
Oh
he'd
my
but
god.
he, but he'd left and become famous before
That's
before I was there.
yeah, that's what I've been trying to sort of like remember when you said that you're from originally from there. Cause um that song, Jimmy Nail's song, uh I can sort of like sing it in my head. But it's like when the girl said she's like, oh
She's
no, when he
lying.
said she's like.
Uh,
Because I remember I was living in the UAE at the time, and Jimmy Nail was so big. It's all
yeah,
like you
but
see his video all the time on on Channel V when I was in.
but interesting if you listen to those. One of the albums I think is actually called Crocodile Shoes, and I don't know what the other album's called. They're really good albums. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think he wrote the material. I think he had professional writers, but he's a very good singer.
he is, yeah, yeah. Because he also did a cover, "Love Don't Live Here Anymore."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do like Jimmy Nail. But
yeah.
anyway, so going back to Edinburgh Festival Fringe. So you're doing it again this year.
Yes.
And so is it a different story this time, or different
So
from last year? Sorry.
it's the same. It's the same show as last year's.
Right.
It's,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's Amazing Stories of Soul and Blues Part Two. Very original title. And but we're playing it at the Brighton Fringe as well this year, and it's the first time we'll play it at Brighton.
All
We
right.
the Brighton Fringe is a much smaller version of the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's if you know it's on, you know it's on. Whereas in Edinburgh, when you go to Edinburgh, you know the Fringe is on because everybody's walking like this because there's so many people. It's like completely rammed. It's absolutely mental. Edinburgh Fringe. What I do is I play the gig. I go to the pub, have 2 pints, and then I go to bed and sleep all night and all day. I just find being in the street in Edinburgh terrifying. I'm not good in crowds, Anne. I'm really not. Getting to the gig, it's like this.
Well, talking about Brighton, because you don't live in Brighton. You live in Southampton. You said
Yeah, yeah.
it's Southampton. How close is Brighton from Southampton? Is it sort of like fairly close? Closer
I've,
than
I've,
Edinburgh, definitely.
yeah, definitely close there. I think I don't know in miles, even though I've been there a lot of times. It's about 2 hour drive.
Oh, see, oh, it's still a bit of a drive because I was going to say Mick Head is playing in Brighton in May, so hopefully I'll see you there. It's on the let me see, I think it's the 8th of May in
Do you know?
Brighton.
Do you know? I think the Brighton Fringe is in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I need to check.
Oh God,
I'll check and I'll PM you if I'm in town the same time.
yeah, yeah, because that's Mick Head is doing Brighton show, and then after that London, and then Manchester is the last one. But I remember. I think it's the 8th. It's the 8th of May. So hopefully I'll see you there. I'll see you at Mickhead gig again this year. So when you're not when you're not playing drums, what keeps you busy? I was like,
I have a full-time job. I'm a working bloke.
and do people actually sort of like recognize you? Do your colleagues sort of like, I've seen you on stage? Or something like you're the drummer.
Do you know the only time I've been recognised, which is really really weird, is one of my earlier drum kits was a Roland drum kit, and all the drums are really flat. And I used to carry them round in plastic containers. And one of them broke, and I went to buy a plastic container, a warehouse in Southampton, and the guy who was there said, I know you. I said, what do you mean I know, you know me? He said, I know you. He said, oh, you play for that really weird band. He said, I saw you at the Romsey Beggars Fair a couple of weeks ago, and it's the only time I've ever been recognised.
And he said they're a really weird band.
Yeah, that really weird band. Yeah.
I was gonna say this earlier. I want to say hello to Keith and thank Keith for introducing you to me as well. So Keith, you and Hillary, just want to say hello to them. Hope they're watching. So yeah. So how long have you known them? How long have you known Keith?
Oh, I've known Keith. Yeah, I've known Keith about 15 years. We worked together for about 15 years.
Yeah, and all the other sort like band members, because we were talking about this before we went on live, that they were all, so like you said, from all over the place. I mean, one of them actually lives in America. He said,
Yeah, but yeah, six months of the year he does. Yeah.
yeah. So is he coming back? Is he coming back for the festivals?
Yeah, he's here now. In fact, I think he's again, it's his life, not mine. But I think he's coming back in the UK permanently now. But the last, so he was in the band. God, I can't remember where he rejoined the band. It's probably about 7 or 8 years ago. But he'd actually lived in the States exclusively for about 25 years. And then as part of his retirement, started coming back here for like 6 months of the year. So we used to have. So he's the second guitarist and keyboard player. So we used to have a second guitarist and keyboard player for half the year, then not the rest of the year.
Yeah. Well, you and Keith, you weren't part of the original members of Kenwood in the Mixes. How many members are from the original lineup?
I think there is three for the line of Kenwood Mixers, but it was another band before that, and it's in a lot of respects it is a slightly unusual band, because there is a manuscript with all the lineups on it, which is on this yellow paper. And the other thing we can tell who's band members is there's a top trumps deck of cards. So the band has its own set of top trumps that we can play with, and it's got every member of the band on, and it's got like how many years they were active, what kind of musicians they were, and
who keeps a record of all this?
Frank, who's the guitarist who was in America for a while, he's got the Dead Sea Scrolls, and Ken Wood, he's got the Kenwood Museum, and that includes the Kenwood pack of cards.
Wow!
So we all get a copy. I've got a copy of the cards upstairs, because I've got a little music room and my Kenwood cards stay there. So Keith's got to have a card made, because he's only been in the band for about 6 months. So we need to make a card for Keith.
Oh wow! Yeah. Nice. I've got to go and sort of like see your band someday. Hopefully, I'll see you maybe if you're playing in the afternoon before a Mickhead gig, and in the evening, maybe that would be good in Brighton when I go there.
Yeah, no, I'll check those dates on because that'd be really cool if we're
Yeah,
around at the same time. Yeah, we meet up with for a
yeah.
beer and stuff. Yeah.
Have you actually released a record, or like, because I did try Google, not Google, Discogs as well, because most of the time I look for Discogs and check the
Mm,
names of musicians there,
mm.
but I couldn't find it. And I couldn't find any Kenwood in the mixes. So have you actually released something
There,
like a record, a CD, or cassette
no,
tape?
there was a single press many years ago, which they used to sell at the gig, and sometimes it comes up on eBay. Um,
Oh, right.
they're usually saying, we'll give you 10 quid to take it off us. Um, but so they're not very valuable. But the thing is, it's interesting, isn't it? So from the band's point of view, we do this because we enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We don't need, I don't mean this in a cocky way, but we don't need the money because we've got jobs, and we just do it for the fun. So we've got no interest in kind of, going into the studio or pressing
recording.
records, or because what we do is we do, we video, like the Edinburgh show, and any videos people take of us like doing other shows, we'd keep, and some of them we put on YouTube, and some of them we just keep for ourselves.
Yeah,
And we've got a Facebook page as well. So we if we ever need to kind of indulge ourselves in ourselves, there's plenty of material there to look at. And if
yeah,
people say, "Oh, have you got anything we can listen to?" We just say, "Well, go on our Facebook page, and there's plenty of material on there you can enjoy."
yeah.
Um,
Who runs the Facebook page?
um,
Because
I,
I think there is a group page.
yeah, this two, and
Yeah,
I run one of them, and I don't really quite understand it, to be honest. So one of them's an ordinary Facebook page, and then all the band have got kids, but the kids are adults now. And one of the kids, about 10 years ago, it was when Facebook was relatively still quite new, but said, "Oh, you need this type of page because this is a business page," and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I maintain that one, but it's not that good because you get a lot of adverts on that you can't control.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
It's actually worse than a personal Facebook page, because personal Facebook pages, you don't get that many adverts, and actually you can take them down really easy. But one of
yeah.
the Kenwood pages is this kind of business one, and I think that's the one I manage, and it's I don't really like it that much.
But it's
Um,
more so like I think that's the official Facebook page of the band. I think the one that I
yeah,
saw is an official one, and then the group page. That's when fans can actually sort of like post things on the page as well.
yeah,
So you post, yeah, yeah. But the other one is just your way of like telling people what's going on, like if there's new gig dates or releases and things, or
yeah.
like
And
maybe.
and do you know we're rubbish at that as well. We've got a web page.
Oh yes, got your own website as well.
Yeah, we go on website. It actually comes when you Google it. It comes before Ken Wood in the
The
mixing place. We
oh
could
yeah.
put, yeah.
Oh, it's really interesting that one. But yeah, well, it's nearly it's after three now, but I still got a few questions I would like to ask you. I mean, I haven't asked this question for a while. I think the last time was like last year or something. But do you have any favorite joke about drummers?
Oh,
Because there are loads of them, and sometimes I feel like, oh, it's not nice. So like, but I mean, it's funny, but sometimes you know. Drummers are
No,
awesome.
I
Dear
think
one.
I think the classic one is what you call the bloke who hangs around with a band, the
Yeah,
drummer.
that's,
Yeah, but
yeah, yeah. No,
no, I don't encourage it. I don't encourage it because again, um, what my band realise is that they're actually my band.
yeah,
It's not actually Ken's band, it's my band. They all play for me because I am the pulse of the band. Without me, they are nothing, Anne. So
yeah, yeah.
we don't encourage any jokes about the drummers.
About the drum.
We can have them about keyboard players and guitarists and bass guitarists, but not allowed. No drummer jokes.
Unless one of your sort of like band members said that none of you are disabled apart,
Well,
apart from musicians.
the thing is, if they tell a joke about a drummer, they can't do the bum bum. Only
Oh
I
yeah,
can do
that's
that.
right. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. You're the only one who can do that. So, um, what was I gonna say now? Yeah. Kind about drummers, I was all like thinking. Oh yeah, I remember. Joe Strummer, because we were
Yes.
talking. You talked about the Clash, because Joe Strummer once said that a band is only as good as its drummer. I used to think it was Bobby Gillespie who said that, but now after so like with Google and everything, finding out it was actually Joe Strummer who said it. So
Well,
what do you?
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's interesting because you would have hoped that somebody else would have said that before Joe Strummer. Because
Oh
I know Joe's not been with us for many years now, but
yeah,
he's
yeah.
a relatively modern musician, isn't he? You would have thought that somebody might have made that comment in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it was so like credited to him. That quote is actually from Joe Strummer, where he said that a band is only as good as its drummer. So what would you say to it then? Is that
Yeah,
totally?
yeah. Well, I think the thing is there's all sorts of drummers, isn't there? I mean, I mean, I'm not a very good drummer, but I can keep time, and keeping time is exactly what my band needs because there's 8 of them, and if I was, you get all these very technical drummers who sound like they're making a shed, don't they? And that's great if you're a 3-piece called Rush, but if you're an 8-piece band, if I was paradiddling my way around the kit all the time, the the trumpet to be off
Everyone,
somewhere, the guitarist to be off somewhere. I mean, sometimes when we play gigs, we can't actually see the guitarist and the singer because they've got radio mics and they go off into the distance. It's like, where are they? They'll be in the beer tent. They'll literally be in the beer tent having a beer and singing. It's like,
God, really? Oh,
all
wow.
I've got is water on stage.
Well, talking about those things, are you a showman type of drummer? So do you twirl when you play the drums?
No, no, I am actually desperately shy as a person. I'm really, really, really very shy, and when like this or when I'm in company, it's purely a show. I find this very exhausting because this is not me. I just like to be sat in the corner reading a book or something. Or I I, I,
Oh,
I, I don't like the attention. I find it really, really bad. They've tried to do things like, get me to sing a song or get me to stand up and do a piece in the show. And I because they were trying to write a bit for me for this year's show, and I said I can't do it. I won't be able to speak.
oh,
I get so frightened. I won't be able to speak. Because the other thing about the show as well is like you come into a full theatre and they applaud you on, and I find that really intimidating. Well, that's what it must be like to be a rock star. When you come on
oh,
stage and they go, "Hey!" Usually, when you're playing pubs and everybody's just indifferent, aren't they? What's this? Come on, entertain us. Whereas when it's in Edinburgh, it's like, "Hooray!"
so you you've never done that. You've never saw like do the twirling of the sticks or maybe
Mm,
throwing it up and then and then
no,
catching it again. It's like
I haven't got the coordination. I'd take somebody's eye out. You know, it's like
oh, Aiden said that the website, Kenwood in the Mixes actually looks good. So he's had a look.
great, thanks, Aidan.
Yeah. What about drumming heroes? Do you have any sort of like drumming heroes?
Oh, I mean, absolutely loads. I mean, this is not very cool, but one of my favorite bands when I grew up, even though I was in indie music, was ELO.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
they're cool. I like yellow.
yeah, well, their drummer's a guy called Bev Van, and he plays it very straight. And I don't know if it's because of the issue I have. There's lots of ELO. And really interestingly, he played for Black Sabbath for a while. And I was really shocked at his ability to go from the sort of popular music that ELO was playing to
Yeah.
Black Sabbath and the sort of heavy metal style, and how he managed that transition. And just thought, God, he's a better drummer than I ever thought he was. But I mean, most people have drum heroes. I mean, Neil Peart. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just watch the man. You know, it's like.
Yeah.
So,
But
but
what
yeah,
about his? Have you seen his drum kit or
oh
his the
yeah,
drum
yeah.
setup?
Oh, there's some great YouTube documentaries like of them preparing his kit for stage, and it's like really interesting. Like sorry, this might not mean anything to you, but like the cymbal stands, they don't have stands. They screw into the floor because the floor itself is part of the drum kit. So
Whoa.
like these cymbal stands have got a place to go in the floor. They screw in, so they screw
Yeah.
perfectly. But so when they screw round, the the head's facing the right way. It's just incredible, incredible.
So I've always sort like I wanted to ask this. I asked drummers about this. Does it really make a big difference? Does it matter having loads of sort of like different bits surrounding you when you're playing the drums, or it could do with just having the basic sort of like things there, you know?
I mean, I think a technically talented drummer would sound very good on a very small kit. On the basic kit, you sort of you one up, one down
Yeah, yeah,
pods. So, but it depends on what kind of music you're playing. So, I mean, like when I was a kid, because like I say, I'm not a very technically gifted drummer. I thought the more drums I could get, the better I would sound. And at one stage, I had a 20-piece drum kit, but I still sounded rubbish. Whereas if you look at some of the older drummers like Gene Krupa and all the classic drummers, they played with very small kits and sounded brilliant. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I think it depends on what kind of music you're doing. So like Bill Bruford would have quite a small core kit, but he'd have electronics on top of that. So he was one of the first exponents of Simmons drums. But he'd use those as a different type of instrument. If that
Okay,
makes
yeah,
sense. It's kind of hard to
yeah,
explain. So
yeah,
he'd have his core drum kit, and then he'd have these
and
electronic things on top of that
yeah.
to play with. Um,
Because sometimes it sort of like makes you think, do they really use every single one of those sort of like instrument
uh,
or like symbols or whatever they're called?
yeah.
It's like surrounded by all these things. Do they use all of them, or is it just
Yeah, I mean, certainly, if you watch a Rush gig, he'll be using all the kit,
everything? Yeah, every single.
and he has electronic kit behind him normally, and what happens is the stage moves around, and then
Yeah.
that kit becomes in front of him. There is something I can't remember his name. There's some famous drummer who has a tuned kit, so it's tuned to proper notes, not drum tuning, and he's got like about 200 drums and about 50 cymbals. and he can play. I just think that's over the top. To be. I think that's just showing off. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but no
I mean,
cowbell.
imagine turning up at the Dog and Duck with a drum kit that has like altogether about 400 pieces. It'd take you 3 weeks to set it up.
No, no room for the audience.
Yeah, it's like what
They
is the
just take it
point?
over. I mean, I think for me, it's important to have a cowbell as well. I do like the sound of a cow. Do you have that in your sort of like a
I I
drum,
I have a virtual cowbell. Yes.
a version? That's brilliant. Um, what about you've been playing for years? I mean, I forgot to ask you actually. Did you have proper drumming lessons, or did you just sort of like teach yourself to play drums?
I did have proper drum lessons, but I didn't have the dedication to keep up with them. And I can never remember the how you pronounce this, but there's a famous drummer called Carmen. I think his surname's pronounced a Peachy or Peace, and he had a drumming technique book, which took you from very basic beats all the way to quite complicated paradiddle beats, and that's what my drum instructor used. And it's a really, really good book. I'd recommend it to budding drummers to see if they can still get a hold of that, because it's on proper notation. It's proper drum music, but because it takes you from the very basic stuff,
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
when you get the complicated stuff, it's quite easy to read because you've learned it properly.
yeah, yeah. So
And also,
can you read so like drum
yeah, I
notes?
can
Or
read.
I don't know what I call it, like drum notes.
Yeah, no, yeah, notation. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
read. I mean, it's years since I've had to, so I'd be very slow. But drum music isn't very complicated. So, well, piano music's probably not very complicated if you know how to do it.
yeah, yeah,
Because every
yeah.
finger has a note, doesn't it? It's a bit like every drum has a note on the clef. So,
So have you ever had any accidents apart from you were mentioning earlier that because they keep kicking the thing that you were playing, you were following your drum kit or something? Have you ever had any accidents or drumming disasters?
no, I guess my main. I've fallen off a stage once when I was trying to set a kid up. And that I didn't injure myself, but it did hurt, and everybody laughed at me, which wasn't very funny. Um,
No.
I've had fingers caught in cymbal stands, which happens all the time, which is why you need a road crew really, so they can
Yeah.
use their fingers rather than the talent. But um, not really. I mean, I've had things like when I played acoustic kits, I've had bass drum skins fail before, which is, and again, because I was playing pub gigs, it didn't really matter that much. But yeah, that's not good when your bass drum fails. And
Yeah. Is
I mean,
that the reason? Is that the reason why you prefer your uh what do you call it? The electronic is
you mean
it,
the,
the
the pretend kit, not the real kit, Anna. No.
sorry. Is that the reason? Is there sort of like less so like possibility of it you breaking apart or maybe getting the is that what it is with the electronic?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I've never had an electronic kit fail on stage. Um, the other thing is as well, your drumsticks last for a long time, because
Okay.
drumsticks usually get snapped on cymbals. And where I find with my drumsticks is the nipple, the tip wears down.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
have them for that long that the actual tip wears down. So I have to buy a new one because they start getting sharp.
All right.
Whereas most drummers smash um, drumsticks on cymbals.
All right. Well, the last question that I wanted to ask you is you said it earlier that to get this book by Carmen, is it Carmen?
Carmen Apici, I think he's pronounced.
Carmen
Yeah.
Apiccia. But any other advice to aspiring drummers out there?
Ooh, I mean, just don't be lazy like I was. If you really want to play, then you and play well, you have to practice. And never get cocky and think I'm the best. I am, because you can always improve. And what tends to happen in our band, because we do, we play a lot of covers, is they'll pick a tune and it will have a piece in it which is really complicated, for me, and I have to sit down and learn it beat by beat. And luckily, because my module, the thing that makes the noises, not the drums, is called a Pearl Mimic Pro. And what you can do is you can record music into it and slow it down, and it doesn't change the pitch, so it sounds the same, but it sounds really slow, and that's really good for actually working out what the actual drummer's playing. So you can slow it right down, so you can literally hear it note by note. And the other thing is that you've just got to enjoy it, really. I mean, the reason I'm 60, I still playing drums, because I just love playing drums. I find it
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
terrifying playing on stage, particularly if we play to a huge audience or a festival. But the buzz you get off it's amazing. It's great
yeah.
playing the band. It's great playing the band.
Oh, I bet it is. I mean, I've always wanted to be in a band, but it was sort of like I just haven't got any talent whatsoever. So
But become a
I just
singer.
no, I can't even do that. I'd rather
All
just
right.
sort of like love them and enjoy their music and watch them. I just sort of like remember one more question: can anybody play the drums? You think?
I think I think anybody can beat out a rhythm, but I don't think anybody can play the drums, because it's like knitting with your feet and hands. So you've got to have a certain amount of coordination, because your legs and
Yeah,
your hands are doing different things. But I think most people can do this. So you could play percussion, but a drum kit. I don't think a drum kit's particularly difficult to play, but I think you have to have a certain amount of coordination to be able to do it, because
it's yeah,
you're literally moving four limbs independently.
yeah. I mean, I tried so like listening to music, and then sometimes you hear uh the tambourine sounds, and then I tried to copy it, and it's like it's not sounding right. So I don't think even I can't even play the tambourine.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, if you're doing this, I mean that's
Yeah,
coordination, isn't it? If you're just doing it on the on beat where the snare goes, that's quite
yeah.
easy. But if you're doing all this fancy stuff, like Phil Collins hitting it on his head,
Do you like Phil Collins?
I do. I admire Phil Collins, and it's a great shame that, because of his, I mean, I believe that his physical frailty is due to an accident he happened. He fell in a hotel and hit his head a few years back, and I think
Yeah,
that's contributed greatly to his physical frailty. I mean, he's a great all round musician. I mean, he was an incredible drummer, and in fact, he's so both Bill Bruford and Chester Thompson have played for Genesis when Phil Collins was the singer, and both Bill Bruford and Chester Thompson, who's basically session musicians, they're awesome drummers, and they struggle to keep up with the work that Phil Collins did. So yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah, it
I,
is
I love
really
Phil Collins. Yeah,
really sad. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I watched one of the recent gigs for the last tour where his son was playing drums, and I couldn't watch it all the way through because I just felt I got a tear in the eye seeing Phil there, in his chair, looking
and
quite
yeah, yeah,
quite old.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Can you do the in the air tonight
yeah,
drums?
yeah. Everybody can do that. And you know what? I'm left-handed, so it's the right way around because Phil's left-handed as well.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. No, Phil Collins is left-handed. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
the only problem is he uses concert toms, and concert toms. It's quite difficult getting the tone they get, because most drummers don't use concert toms. We use ordinary toms with skins. Whereas his are
oh, I
what called
see.
concert toms. They don't have a bottom head, what's called a resonant head.
Yeah,
Just have a
yeah,
top head.
yeah. Did you think? Do you think that it's like the best? I don't even know what it's called. Is it drum fill? Is that what you call it?
Well,
Drum
it's
fill,
a
drum,
no,
or drum riff, or whatever.
no. It's a fill. I mean, I don't know if it's the best, because there are a lot of drum fills. But the thing is, it's certainly one of the most recognizable,
Yeah, yeah.
because you get. It's a bit like Superstitious by Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
that
right.
that that, that starts with a drum fill.
Yeah,
It goes,
yeah,
I can dit. It goes dit. And when you
yeah,
hear it, when you actually hear a drummer play it, you know what it is, because
yeah, yeah.
it's
I
so
just,
distinctive.
yeah, with that in the air tonight, so like drum bit, I could just listen to it over and over and over again because I think that's just so beautiful, and I wish I could actually do it. It's like
But there isn't the best version the one on the Cadbury's chocolate advert where the
yeah,
ape plays it.
gorilla.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gorilla.
that's true. Oh my god! Well, thank you, thank you so much, Gary. Do you want to just invite people to the Edinburgh and the Brighton French as well, just in case anyone would like to sort of like go and see you and
Yeah,
Kenwood in the mixes?
yeah. I don't have the dates, but look at Brighton Fringe. That's coming up in March or May, and the Edinburgh Fringe is in
In
August.
August. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's
cool. Well, yeah.
that's okay.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and hopefully see you again soon, Brighton, maybe, or
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, if you're there. And again, I just want to say thank you to Keith for introducing so like you to me. So thanks, Keith. I hope you're watching. So see you again soon, Gary. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Cheers, Anne.
And
Thanks for your time. I appreciate that.
oh, that's so. Thank you for saying yes to us, drummer, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. So
I'm off
see
to
you
the
again.
pub.
Oh, you have to go. Okay, enjoy
Well,
your
I'm rock
enjoy
stars.
your
What rock stars do? Rock stars go pub at weekends.
rock and roll. Yeah. All right. See ya. See you, Gary.
Cheers, Anne. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you all so much, my dear friends, for joining us live. That's really good of Gary to say yes to us, the drummer. Yeah. So if you're in, hopefully the Brighton Fringe is in May, so hopefully I'll get to see him there. Because Mika is playing in Brighton as well. But the Edinburgh one is definitely in August. So if you're in Edinburgh around that time, check out the Edinburgh Festival Fringe and check out when Kenwood and the Mixers are playing. So thank you so much, Gary. Next week, I'm actually going to be having a drummer from the Philippines from back home, and I'm really excited about it. So please do keep an eye out for the guest announcement post for next week's Ask the Drummer. And thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever's left of it. And as always, love music, love life, love drummers. They're absolutely amazing. I love every drummer's so like story. It is so fascinating. So I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now. Bye.